Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to Statesman.com for another edition of the High School Blitz. It's week 6. I'm Tony Atkins, Rick Cantu, and Danny Davis. And guys, we have 4 games on the slate for this week. The first game, we head out to House Park. 2, and 3 teams. Both teams won last week, Anderson and Hayes. What are you guys seeing going to 500 today?
I think it's going to be the Hayes Rebels. The Hayes offense is playing pretty good, 34.4 points per game. They have a nice quarterback-wide receiver connection with Braden Kent and Brandon Hunter. And the Rebels, they have a little bit of a history. They played Anderson the last couple of years too and beaten them, and I just think that streak continues. And I think the Rebels, they'll win their second straight.
I agree with that. I think Cody Gandy, obviously, he's a big factor too. He had 10 carries for 140 yards just in the first half of last week's victory. Anderson, they struggle a little bit on offense. Their defense has been pretty stout, though. 22 points a game they've been giving up. Sometimes that's enough to win, sometimes it's not. I just think Hayes has too much firepower.
Now we head over to Westlake. They host Bowie. Westlake is 3-1. Bowie is 4-1. Last week, 2 weeks ago actually, Westlake dominated Austin, but this week they have a tougher opponent. What do you guys see coming on top in this one?
I like Westlake. It's hard to pick against Westlake in that district. I think it's sort of a reflex. Sam Ellinger has been lights out at quarterback. He's averaging about 215 yards passing a game, and he doesn't even play the entire game. So they're actually revved up the passing game ever since that very first loss. They've averaged 54 points since that opening weekend loss. So I think the Westlake, they just have too much firepower.
I'm going to go with Westlake too, but I think if you're a Bowie fan, there are reasons to be optimistic. Connor Flanagan gives him a boost on special teams. He's all-district punter and kicker last year. He has 5 field goals this year. Ben Cedarquist, he's a wide receiver, dynamic player, averaging about 35 yards a catch. He's scored on 5 of his 11 receptions, had a touchdown run last week against Austin High. But the Bowie defense has struggled a little bit. They gave up 37 to Austin High, which only scored 12 against Westlake. And I think that Westlake offense is a little bit too much firepower. But Bowie beat them last year. I don't think a lot of people picked that one, so who knows? Maybe the Bulldogs have the Chaps' numbers, but I'm going with Westlake.
And guys, now we head way south to Gobbler Stadium. Cuero takes on Giddings. Both teams are 4-1. Who do you see winning this game?
I'm going to go with the home team. Giddings has had a really good season, and if they need a scouting report on Cuero, they need to just ask their friends over at Smithville, the district rivals, because Cuero played Smithville a couple weeks ago, blew them out on 38-0. Zach Hopkins, Alex Martinez, 2 running backs for Cuero, both had over 100 rushing yards, and this Cuero defense has 2 shutouts this year. This Giddings team is better than Smithville, but I think the Gobblers are just going to get a win here, but I think my friend over here is going to disagree with me.
Yeah, you are. It's not going to be the first time. Actually, Cuero is really good on defense. You mentioned the 2 shutouts. They only give up 12 points a game. But Giddings, Raylan Hickey, maybe the best player that we've never heard of, running back averaging 235 yards a game through 4 games. If you need a scouting report on Giddings, just look at that guy wherever he goes. You put 2 spies on him, and you go wherever that guy goes. I'm going with Hickey. I'm going with Giddings.
And now, guys, we head a little closer to home. House Park, you have Aiken being hosted by Austin High. Last week was a rough week for both teams as they came off of losses, but who gets back on track this week?
I'm going to go with Austin High. I like the Maroons. I like the colors. I like the mascot. I like Bo Kohlbacher, their quarterback. He's thrown for about 1,000 yards. If that doesn't sound like a lot, consider that they've only rushed for about 300 yards, so he's about 75% of their offense. For Aiken's, Jermaine Thomas, a name to remember, 17 catches for close to 250 yards. I think he's their lone offensive bright spot so far. I like the Maroons.
I like the Maroons too. I think a lot's going to depend on what offense shows up for Austin High. That unit's had a little bit of a roller coaster season. 7 points against McNeil, 12 points against Westlake, but they did go for 42 against the Trooping Springs team that shut out Cedar Park, as we all know. Last week they had 37 against Bowie. I think that team shows up this week. I think that's going to be a little bit too much for Aikens to handle. And if you want a wide receiver on Austin High's sideline to watch out for, Alec and Chondo. 12 receptions, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns against Bowie last week. That's a good stats.
And those are some good stats, guys. We'll see what happens this week. Those are our picks, and we will see what happens in week 6. Keep checking back in with the High School Blitz on Statesman.com.